21 regarding the end times. There will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear, and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Jesus is talking about the end times. That's the context of Luke chapter 21. There's going to be signs. I'm going to be showing you things in the sun, the moon, and the stars. They're going to be pointing to my soon return. I'm going to be showing you signs. Well, the question is,
most of the world got to see a total lunar eclipse tonight for an hour and 43 minutes, the longest of this century. A lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon, casting a deep shadow over the moon's surface. We in the U.S. did not get to see it, but Seth Doan found a beautiful spot in Rome.
Rome has a stunning sky.
A spectacular light show brightened up the sky overnight. Here it is from one of NASA's cameras. It's a rare type of lunar eclipse called a blood moon.
Yeah, the name comes from the reddish color.
We are just hours away from being able to view tonight's blood moon lunar eclipse. Here in the Bay Area, Crown Forest Jeff Bush is live at Chabot Space Observatory in Oakland tonight. Jeff, how long has it been?
The moon will appear to be red tomorrow. A blood moon will be visible during a total lunar eclipse just before sunrise on Saturday morning. The moon will look red due to sunlight passing through Earth's atmosphere, filtering out most of its blue light.
The last thing before we go tonight on this very important night, the blood moon eclipse. As if Election Day wasn't already freaking people out, in just a few hours, the Earth, the sun, and the moon will all align to create what is known as a deep blood red hue over the moon. This will be the last
now that there's going to be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. This is Joel chapter 2, talking about the end. It says, I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, that is a solar eclipse, and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. Well, the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord is the return of Jesus, the second coming of Jesus and the rapture. And a lunar eclipse is a blood moon. When the earth gets between the sun and the moon turns red. It's a blood moon. And so this is what Joel was talking about. Well, there have been 3 sets of tetrads. Now, a tetrad is a set of 4 lunar eclipses that happen back to back in 2 years on Jewish holy days. This would be on Passover. You see the graphic there right now on your screen. Now, these are the tetrad that happened in 2014, 2015. And so on Sukkot of 2014 and 15, you had a blood moon. And then, on Passover, you had a blood moon. Then on Sukkot, you had another blood moon, back to back. This is 4 lunar eclipses, blood moons, that happened over a 2-year period of time, all on Jewish holy days. Now, that happened in 1949 and 50. Remember, Israel became a nation in 1948, and the tetrad of blood moons, like you just saw there, happened in 1949 and 1950, all on Jewish holy days. Then in 1967, the Six-Day War was fought, and Jerusalem was unified. This is what Jesus prophesied in Luke 21, that they would be scattered, and then Jerusalem be trodden underfoot by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles were fulfilled. That was fulfilled in 1967, and in 1967 and 1968, there were 4 blood moons, all on Jewish holy days. Israel becomes a nation, blood moons. The city of Jerusalem is unified, blood moons. Then in 2014 and 2015, there are 4 more blood moons, the ones you just saw, plus there was a solar eclipse in 2014 on the first day of Israel's religious calendar, and there was a partial solar eclipse.
Is it the end of the world as we know it, or just a hacker's hoax?
Orange County cable customers heard the ominous prediction on the air today that the world is going to end Saturday.
KCAL 9 Stacey Butler live in Lake Forest tonight. Stacey.
Well, Lena and Jeff, we've all seen those warnings, the test of the emergency broadcast system flash across our TV screens. But it's what happened immediately after that that has many across Southern California shocked at what they saw.
Everlasting, extremely violent times will come.
You were watching what flashed across some television screens in Southern California just after 11 o'clock this morning. Some heard what started as an emergency alert and turned into a warning of the end of the world.
Here's the Revelation 12 sign. This is Revelation 12 describing now an end times astronomical sign that's going to happen. You see a graphic there on your screen. But this is Revelation 12. Let me read the scripture, then I'll explain the graphic to you. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to God in his throne. Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has prepared a place by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, this was literally fulfilled. Now, there is a prophetic fulfillment here related to Israel, but you see on the screen there, you see this graphic. Let me explain it to you. So on September 23rd, 2017, the constellation Leo was above the head of the constellation Virgo. Of course, Virgo is the Virgin, Leo is the Lion. And so the Virgin is Mary, and of course, Leo is Jesus. But Leo has 9 stars. Remember, it says that there was a garland of 9 stars over her head. Well, the Leo has 9 major stars that make up the outline. But on September the 23rd of 2017, Mercury, Mars, and Venus joined those 9 stars to make 12 stars that were over the head of the Virgo, constellation Virgo. And then the sun, you'll notice on that graphic there, the sun was over Virgo's shoulder, the Virgin's shoulder. In other words, she was clothed with the sun, and the moon was under her feet. You can see it right there. Then Jupiter, which is called the king planet, which the Jews associate with the Messiah. Now, this is extraordinary. The Jupiter entered the womb of Virgo on November the 20th of 2016 and retrograded, which means it stayed in the same place. It looked like it was staying in the same place. It retrograded from February to July, then exited the womb on September the 9th, 2017. It was inside the womb exactly 41 weeks, which is the time of human gestation. And then it came out. It came out between the legs of Virgo. It exited the legs of Virgo. And by the way, it says that the male child was caught up. That's raptured, harpazo. And this is the next graphic here. You'll see now that between the legs of Virgo, there was a red, creepy object. I mean, this is, it's incredible. This is between her legs, and it was redacted by NASA and also by Google Sky. And you say, why? Redacted means they put a little black box over it to block it out from being there. And you can see it if you look carefully between the legs of Virgo there. You'll see that little black box. You'll also see this is the actual image that they're blocking out there. It is this creepy red, it's infrared, creepy red creature that looks like a dragon with 12 heads and all that kind of stuff like that. This actually happened on September 23rd, 2017. And so I'm saying to you, this is absolutely amazing. When Jesus said there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, you can check that box. 2 major end-time signs have appeared in the heavens. By the way, there's a software program called Stellarium, and this is where some of those pictures come from. By the way, that one of those charts there was a Louis Vega chart. He does phenomenal charts there. But I'm saying to you, you can look this stuff up. God created in Genesis chapter 1 universal signs that the whole world could see. Well, like Jesus came the first time, people didn't care. They weren't paying attention. But Jesus Christ came, and the nation missed it by and large. But there were watchers. There were people watching. The world right now, most people could care less, but you're watching this because you care. Human history is the entire earth coming against Jerusalem. And during the Obama administration, the United Nations was trying to impose a 2-state solution on Israel. Impose means they're going to militarily impose. They're going to force Israel to give up East Jerusalem. And this is what's going to happen. They're not going to give up East Jerusalem. The Jews have consistently said that Jerusalem is the eternal, indivisible capital of Israel. The world will hate them for that. They will continue to pressure them for that. This is happening in our news right now. You don't have to look around to make this thing happen. This is happening right now. But it's going to get worse until the point that there's an ultimatum given by the United Nations, the armies of the world, that they will ultimately come against Israel. Jerusalem is the most difficult issue today and the most contested piece of real estate on the earth. And here's sign number 7, the sign of worldwide anti-Semitism. Zechariah 14. Behold, the day of the Lord is coming, and your spoil will be divided in your midst, for I will gather all the nations to battle against Jerusalem. The city shall be taken, the houses rifled, the women ravished, half the city shall go into captivity, but the remnant of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then the Lord will go forth and fight against those nations as he fights in the day of battle. Jerusalem, Israel right now, the Jewish people, they're persecuted all over the world. This is the most persecuted group of people in the history of the world. I mean, generationally, for millennia. Right now in France, tremendous anti-Semitism in France, Germany, the EU in general, also in the United States, college campuses, many cities around America, there is increasing anti-Semitism. This is a major sign of the end times. So I've just told you about it.
What's up, Ye?
The fallout continues for Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, whose recent anti-Semitic comments have caused public outrage. This morning, a deal
for the tragic events in Crown Heights to assure you that the majority of my people in this city, in this country, sympathize with what happened, no matter what the media says. The media make it seem as if we're against each other. We are much more together, much more alike than they will prefer to see.
Dear God Almighty, bless you. You certainly know that the Jewish people is accustomed to persecution. The same thing happened in the United States to use people at the beginning. From now on, that will have every one of us and all the population of the United States only good news and healthy news and news about the progress of every one of us. The United States will be united really and all the year around.
The eve of Sukkot, and this Jewish community in North London is preparing for 7 days and 7 nights of festivities. But the streets are shared with a noticeable police presence, and a report released today might help explain why. Hate crimes against Jews have increased by nearly a third since 2010, according to the Home Affairs Select Committee report. And the volume and viciousness of online abuse is unprecedented.
Saying that Ye had, quote, broken the show business rules.
You know, the rules of perception. If they're black, then it's a gang. If they're Italian, it's a mob. But if they're Jewish, it's a coincidence, and you should never speak about it.
He later said this.
I've been in Hollywood. This was just what I saw. It's a lot of Jews.
The comedian added he understood how somebody could, quote, adopt the delusion that Jewish people run show business.
The FBI report that was out this week, anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise across the U.S.
But as NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirch will just show you in a moment, this is really nothing new.
Discussion with the President Trump. And I know you're very much concerned about what's going on in this country.
We are all concerned by anti-Semitism all over the world, and of course, anti-Semitism here and everywhere. And the president was crystal clear, was on target in fighting anti-Semitism with all tools possible. It's anti-Semitism, it's racism, xenophobia. These are the challenges of the era, but unfortunately, history teaches us that usually it starts with hating Jews, with blaming Jews, with terrible rhetoric that people say, you know, okay, he said it. And that's why I'm extremely pleased, objectively, as an Israeli, as a Jew, as a human being. I'm extremely pleased to see this overwhelming reaction against, any eating.
But before we run out of time, there is one story that has the whole world talking. I'm referring, of course, to Kanye West, rapper, entrepreneur, and the guy who proved that not even black people can make the MAGA hat cool. Kanye has been drifting more and more to the right lately, from wearing a White Lives Matter shirt to sitting down for an interview with Tucker Carlson, but over the weekend, Kanye drifted right off the deep end.
Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is now blocked from using Instagram and Twitter because of racist and anti-Semitic messages that he posted. On Friday, Instagram was the first site to lock his account after Kanye posted text messages between himself and the rapper Sean Diddy Combs. In those messages, he accused Diddy of being controlled by Jewish people after Diddy criticized a shirt Kanye was photographed wearing that read, "White Lives Matter."
And there was a partial solar eclipse on the Feast of Trumpets, okay, during the Tetrads. Okay, so what is the significance of those blood moons? Well, here's what I believe. In the ones in 1949 and 1950, that was the Holy Land. The Holy Land was given back to Israel.